What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 20-Minute Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Mick Manhattan, as always, and this is a giant-sized episode because we are doing the Royal Rumble. We're analyzing it. I'm here with my buddy, Rob Gocher. Rob, introduce yourself.
Hey, Rob Gocher. I'm just a wrestling fan and glad to be part of the podcast.
Awesome. Great to have you here. So, guys, remember, we're going to be going over everything for Royal Rumble, the matches, predictions, things like that. Before we start, make sure you give us a like and subscribe. Right down below, hit the notification button because we have content coming out all the time. The scenesnobs.com. You can go and check out all of our shows. And welcome to this one. So, hey, Rob, I just want to start off by saying, first of all, I love the shirt.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm a huge KO fan. It's the first wrestling shirt I ever got, so
Awesome.
I was very happy to get it. The first time I ever got a chance to use it was at a live NXT showing. And the oddest thing is he wasn't on NXT at the time. But right across from me was someone who had nope. So it was great. So yeah, I was really happy to get this one. Thanks.
Yeah, no, and I love that. I like where he's at now as a babyface, but at that point when he and the Yep movement was one of my favorites storylines from KO.
I agree. So I actually I became a fan a little bit later. It was actually about a year and a half ago that I actually got back into wrestling. When I was a kid, I was into wrestling, but I got back into it, and that was all after that. So I got a chance to get that WWE app and actually look at like all the KO stuff, and it was great to kind of see that. As soon as I got back, like he was one of the first matches I saw. It was the Hell in a Cell match with he and Shane McMahon. So I guess it was a little bit more than a year and a half ago. And that match blew me away. So I instantly became a KO fan as soon as I got back.
I think one of the matches he did where it was him versus AJ Styles on a SmackDown. And then it was a surprise entrant of Chris Jericho showing up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I did see they had that as the highlight.
Which, to me, that was like 2 years ago. I think it was 2018, might have been 2017. But it was like the match of the year for me. All three of them put on such an amazing show, and that was in DC at the Capital One Arena, and I was supposed to go. I was going to bring my then 5 or 6 year old, and we were going to go watch it, and it was just like someone got stuck at work. I couldn't make it, and of course, Chris Jericho decides to come back.
I don't know what it is about Capital One Arena, but they seem to have great events. I went to a Raw this past year. And it was when Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda all got arrested. I got to watch that.
Oh, nice.
And it was absolutely fantastic because we didn't see... You don't normally think that, it's all staged and everything. And, well, sure, a little bit of it is. It was a surprise to the audience, too. I mean, the cops were not, waiting in the wings. All that stuff. They really brought them out. And they were in handcuffs all the way out of this, stadium. It was absolutely fantastic.
I love those storylines. I love back in the day, the Attitude Era, when you had Stone Cold being arrested every week. And for me, I'm like, why isn't he still in jail? Why isn't he in jail from last week? And why is he in a new city getting arrested again? I'm like, should this guy be going to jail forever?
They're rich. I mean, they're paying people off. But yeah, it's always great. And it's especially great when they actually have cops, they get into the ring and then they get beat up. And you just wonder, okay, how is this person not in jail for the rest of their lives?
Oh my God. And it's, because I've always had this argument, and just before we get into Royal Rumble stuff, I've always had this argument that it's so funny to me that you have people arrested for attacking somebody else in a show where you can pull scaffolding. I remember when Braun Strowman pulled scaffolding on top of Kane and Brock Lesnar and nearly killed them. It's the point where everybody's freaking out, and I'm like, it's fine. He'll be back.
Well, it's fair play. It's totally fair play. You can't hit a McMahon unless they hit you first, and even then, you still shouldn't hit a McMahon because you still get fined. That was a fantastic thing for KO last year. And it's great. I mean, I love the whole thing where Roman was almost killed by scaffolding and then hit by a car. They didn't arrest anybody over that. They just was like, oh my God, Eric Rowan, he finally said he did it. They turned Daniel Bryan babyface over it, and then everything acts like it's all fine.
Oh my God! You remember when Braun flipped him over in an ambulance?
Yes,
oh,
I do.
God.
I remember when KO was flipped over in a porta potty. That was my favorite Braun Strowman moment. Absolutely fantastic. Just see KO roll out all blue.
I will tell you this though, to go back to KO and kind of segue back into this week. KO had an awesome move. It wasn't this past week; it was the week before, but it led into this week where they had a fist fight,
Mm-hmm.
and KO ran up the screen and then just like bombed them and took them all out. I was like, yes.
Well, he makes me feel good because as a bigger man, that he is one of the most athletic
Yeah.
people that I've ever seen, and it doesn't matter that he's overweight. He can jump off the third rope with absolutely no problem.
Yeah.
He used to do all those frog splashes and everything. I mean, it's fantastic. So it makes me feel good.
If I if I tried to run up a wall, I'm going through the wall. So yes, kudos to him being able to do that.
I'm probably not even making it halfway to the wall before I quit. So Royal Rumble, you wanted to talk about that?
Yes. I want to get into. So we got a mess load of stuff. Well, first off, I want to kind of talk about Takeover for tonight because I have a feeling some things will bleed over into the Royal Rumble.
Hopefully.
Yes, we need more NXT on the big stuff. Don't worry, it happens to me all the time.
Someone's breaking into my house, apparently.
Don't break in. We're talking about wrestling. We're all riled up. We'll come get you. So I'll just go over the matches tonight, which kind of leads me to some speculation for the Rumble.
Fair enough.
We got, in the kickoff, we got Mia Yim versus Kaylee Ray, who's the UK champ. That's just a normal match, not a title. Then we have DIY coming back, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa.
Which I could not be happier for. One of the NXT, the same time I wore this, I got to see Gargano run in with a neck brace and beat Ciampa. He wasn't supposed to be in a match. Ciampa said that he was injured, and we'd find out next week what really happened. But it was great seeing them. So I'm so glad that they're back. Question is going to be, are they really going to stay heel, or are they going to be... Because Ciampa was more babyface when he finally came back. And I kind of hope that they don't do a heel thing. Gargano's heel thing was amazing, but I'd like to see them kind of run with that and be the Undisputed Era's kind of foil. Because right now there's not a stable that's really beating them right now.
I like that too, and you're right. I just think right now, because it doesn't... Right now they're doing the Imperium thing.
Right.
With... Undisputed. We need our own stable in NXT. Our own stable to go after this amazing stable they put together in Undisputed Era.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it should be. Like, they started with War Games, and I don't know why they didn't continue that into Royal Rumble. Why did you bring Imperium into it? I understand that. I know business side of things, it's we want the UK in more,
right.
We want to have that, and this is a big event for them, Worlds Collide. So, I mean, Worlds Collide is UK and in that, but I just feel it's a missed opportunity to take Ciampa and Gargano and push them aside and say, here's your match.
I mean, you think they're trying to save Ciampa because they're worried he's going to get hurt again? Are they trying to, like, ease him into stuff? I mean, I would hope not, because, I mean, there was a time where they were saying he was never going to wrestle again.
Yeah, but I think he showed even with War Games, he's good. You know, he's back and he can put on the show.
It was an amazing show.
Yeah, I think with this, maybe they're just going to take it down a heel turn for a little while. It'd be interesting to see where they go. I mean, right now you have Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle together, so...
It's two people I cannot stand.
No,
Riddle, for the fact that he always gets his feet stomped on, and... really, it's about the little appendages always being broken. Pete Dunne does that finger thing, which is it's almost like Joey Ryan's pelvis move.
Yeah.
It's so overdone. But I actually, like, Pete Dunne's actually a really good wrestler outside of that. But they always go to that one move, and it's just, it's obviously not really breaking someone's finger, because unless they actually had someone say, okay, fine, really break it. I would show it. That'd be great. But other than that, I just don't get the two of them. I just don't see it.
It boggles my mind too, because they are weird together.
Yeah.
But it's working in a weird way, in a babyface way. It's working, and I think they're going to win the Dusty Rhodes Classic.
I can see that.
So, if you have this kind of weird babyface tag team, and it's only because they can't quite figure out where to put them right now.
Right.
And they can't quite figure out where to put Ciampa and Gargano right now. Tag team.
Yeah.
Put them against each other.
Which I'm not. I like tag teams. I think they are fantastic, especially when they're done well.
Mm-hmm.
Not when you do the hot tag at the end of near the end of every match. When they actually do tag teams really really well. Like I like the Bar a lot. I think that they were great. And I'm glad Sheamus is coming back and is healthy enough. So I can't wait for him to beat up Shinsuke and then get back with Cesaro. But kind of getting into this, I'm glad that they're doing tag matches, but either they need to do more titles for them so we can actually have more matches and get more of these great wrestlers in there, or figure out a way to do with them instead of just mashing two random people together. Like have it make sense.
Which is actually kind of funny, and I want, because you don't watch AEW, I kind of want to bring it into it now. If you watch the show, anybody who watches the show, you guys know like I am a big fan of AEW. And I love WWE and I have a lot of respect for them. I do not have a lot of respect for the writing team right now. Mostly on Raw, but kind of all around, like, except for NXT. I think NXT has good writers. I think it's the management that kind of scrambles things up sometimes.
Well, I think the other thing is they don't let them kind of go on the road. They kind of stick them down in Orlando, so they don't have as big of the fan base all over as they should. Some of the house shows that they do, they're not really, they're just a standard house show, and they're rare. It's not like Raw where it's constantly going around the U.S. If they did that with NXT, I think it would allow them to get more people watching, which means better production. Because some of their storylines, the Gargano Aleister Black storyline was absolutely fantastic. So much better than the Roman Eric Rowan. Like, who attacked Roman? No one really cared. Everyone thought it was TV, but no one really knew who attacked Aleister Black. And when it came out that it was Gargano, it was fantastic, and that heel run that he had was amazing. So you're right. I'm in agreement. The writing is so much better on NXT and SmackDown, and we'll get into the Bobby Lashley thing later.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I liked your take. We were talking about it beforehand, but how you were saying with SmackDown seems to be more wrestling oriented. I didn't take that. I was wondering why, because they are kind of poor on storyline. Not bad.
Right.
But you're right. It is more about the wrestling. And when you mentioned that, it kind of got the wheels turning a little bit. And I'm like, all right, I kind of dig that then. You're right. That's a different... I always say, like, on the show, like, give me your input. Let me know, because, like, it might change my mind. I don't know.
Sure.
And that was something that definitely sunk in when you said it. And I was like, yeah, SmackDown has been kind of... not so much the story aspect, but I you know what? I've been complaining about the sports aspect, and I do like that.
Right.
So I like your take on it.
Thanks. NXT was very similar. Like, you had Ricochet and Velveteen Dream and all this other stuff. They still got Velveteen Dream, who's absolutely amazing. You'll never hear me say anything bad about him, other than his fashion sense. But I'm one to talk. The thing is, they're just so good, and it's not just that everybody's filthy, because they're not. They have grapplers and all that other stuff, but they really do give us these amazing pay-per-views with just they're these people, men, women, are putting their all into these matches, and sometimes the pay-per-views in the WWE, I don't know if it's that they know they have a wrestling match tomorrow that they have to be ready for. Sometimes they don't do that, but with NXT. You can tell. I mean, they're going all out because they don't get as many pay-per-views. They don't have as many chances to shine. Yeah. So they're going to do it.
Well, and the good part about it for me too is, like, with the women's division, they did the right thing. Rhea Ripley is my favorite. So for her to get the belt so quickly, because she really came on the scene quick. Like, she's been around for a while, but she really, like, blew up quickly.
That push was fast.
And for her to get that championship and Shayna kind of go aside, like, it kind of tells you, Shayna's probably stepping up. She's probably going to be a big contender, especially with WrestleMania.
Definitely.
So to let Rhea step in and be the champion, I hope they keep her as champion for a while. And it's another thing that I think that Raw is doing right. Her storylines haven't been great. I'm looking forward to the Asuka match, but Becky Lynch, do not take that belt off of her. Let her keep that belt for 2 years.
I don't want her going down the AJ Styles route, where it just becomes a foregone conclusion that she's going to win every night. But I agree. When it comes to women in wrestling, Becky has been my favorite since I started. I loved it when I saw her, with Charlotte for a while. I saw that heel turn coming, and then did not see that WWE couldn't stop it from being a heel turn to really a Stone Cold turn, where just everybody loved her. And I was glad to see that. So I agree that she should definitely keep it. I mean, we'll get into the Royal Rumble, how I think it's going to go, but I don't think she's losing it before WrestleMania, at least.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I think they would not want to do, because they still have Ronda Rousey on contract, do they really want to say that Becky is so much better than Ronda that Ronda could never catch up to that kind of title? She doesn't have the record. She can't.
Yeah, I do. I agree, but at the same time, too, from the aesthetic side of it, and to bring in fans and things like that, I think the women's division needs a Hulk Hogan.
Sure.
And I think she is the right one in this era to be a Hulk Hogan type.
I agree.
Like, if for anybody who doesn't remember, Hulk Hogan had the belt for 4 years because he was bigger than life. Hulkamania, like when we were kids, was just like huge.
I had the little wrestling buddy, of Hulk Hogan and the $1 Million Man. Just, it was great. The problem with Becky, though, is people love it when there's a chase.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind necessarily if she did lose it, but with interference from the McMahons or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Give her someone to keep fighting and a reason to be on television. Whether she has the belt or not, it's not going to end the fact that she is probably the most talented women's wrestler and arguably one of the most talented wrestlers in general that WWE has. The match with her and Charlotte when they did the just the last person standing, whatever you want to call it, it was probably my favorite match that I've ever seen in WWE. It was amazing to see Charlotte breaking out of those chairs.
Yes, yeah. Oh, 100%. And but like going back to Becky, like with that is she's gotten such a huge push from Cena.
Yep.
Cena signed off on her. Then she had Stone Cold sign off on her, and even gave her a stunt. She got to give him a stunner.
Yep, and Edge gave her the title of the man. I mean, he accidentally did that. I don't know if that was on purpose. I don't feel like it was, but
she ran with it.
She did, and all of these other wrestlers are really backing her up. And then the last couple of months, they're like, okay, well, she's Seth Rollins' girlfriend. Let's just focus on that.
I think that screwed up a lot of
it. It really, really did.
Not fair to her, but
not at all, because Seth's her boyfriend. That's really how it should have been advertised, because as great as he is, she is one of the biggest personalities in wrestling and needs to stay that way. And I'm in agreement with you. So I'm hoping that no matter what happens at Royal Rumble, and hopefully what happens as a result of this takeover, I hope that Shayna does come up and actually gives her kind of a run for her money.
Yeah.
Where we don't know what's going to happen, but ultimately Shayna doesn't win, because I have thoughts on Shayna. She is my least favorite of the women's wrestlers, because she's just terrible on the mic. And
she has no personality.
I don't like that at all. I want someone who is great on the mic, gets you pumped for the match, and then can go for it. And Shayna does have an amazing ability in ring. She really does. Yeah. But she just can't talk. And
yeah, it's pretty sad actually sometimes when it comes to her. And that's the thing. Like I would almost want them to put Shayna, let Shayna go after Ronda Rousey. I mean, they're friends.
Sure.
They're both MMA fighters. Why not? Like, give them a big push in a match.
Or if you're really doing it, there's always been this rumor mill going around that they were going to have the 4 horsewomen versus the 4 horsewomen of the MMA, which would have also been great. But you got to get Ronda back, and she wants to start a family, which is awesome, and it's great for her. So I don't know if she's actually going to come back. There are rumors she will, and she's going to show her face, for this to WrestleMania, but I hope not.
That's actually one of my predictions.
Oh, oops.
Sorry.
No. Spoiler alert.
That's perfectly fine. But actually, just to go back to tag teams like we were talking about, we had 2 tag teams this week, 2 tag team champions. And the comparison I want to make was, you had AOP, and they have this stable with the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins, and I kind of dig it. I dig what they're doing with them.
I'm a fan.
And Buddy Murphy joining up, I was very cool with it. I didn't like the fact that they passed over the tag team in the stable and they put those two to win the championships. And I thought that was so poorly done that it, let the tag team win, and now you have the stable that has belts, and they're gonna have back them up any way they can, and then Seth will eventually get a belt, and Buddy Murphy may eventually get a belt,
just like Undisputed Era. Yeah, yes, just like them.
Thinking, yes, perfect. I love it. And then you see where it's been done right on AEW, and to kind of give you a little background there. Kenny Omega, who's considered one of the best in the world, teams up with Hangman Adam Page, and for a while now there's been some tension in the Elites, who are made up of those two and the Young Bucks. So with the Elites, there's been some tension with Adam Page. He's kind of been like shunning them. They went into this 4-way match, tag team match, and I think they've just been doing it right. They win the titles this week. They were not the favorites. Nobody was expecting it. They won it, and then they didn't celebrate together. So they sacrificed them getting the titles for the story, and the story just made that much better. Like Adam Page just kind of like drifting off with into the crowd. Like he did a dive into the crowd, and they put him off, and like you could tell there was tension there between him and Kenny Omega,
which is good.
And that's what you need from in Raw. And
I agree.
If you're going to put the belts on a team that's not an actual tag team, give me a story with it.
Well, the other thing, although I don't follow AEW, I do read about it. And Kenny Omega even though he's one of Dave Meltzer's only like 6-star matches, he has admitted that he's willing to give the newer blood a shot and build them up. And sometimes you don't have that in WWE. You have the big guys like, well, I'm still the big guy. You do have people like Kurt Angle, who was willing to put over Corbin. I mean, his leaving his match. You even had Dean Ambrose try to put over EC3. So it's nice to see that, and I'm glad to hear that. The only thing I don't understand about AEW is they seem to be a lot less safe with their people. You hear almost every pay-per-view, there was a botch and someone really, really, really got hurt.
Actually, nobody's really gotten hurt so far on this show.
The whole even though I don't know his new name, Perfect 10, one of my favorite Ty Dillinger, when he hit Cody Rhodes with the chair, and it wasn't the right type of chair, and you just see the blood just pouring from the face.
You found out later, and it was a work.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, no, it was. He was bleeding.
Oh, okay.
But it was a work.
Oh, okay.
And because there was such backlash of like, there shouldn't be this type of blood in there.
That's the way I felt.
They never went that way again.
Oh, okay, good.
And Cody Rhodes was the only one willing to take it because he's one of the vice presidents of the company. He's like, I'll take it. I don't want anybody else taking the shot. So they did it that way. And when they caught the backlash, they're like, fine, we'll never do that again.
Good.
They'll still be edgier, but we're not going to go crazy with that again.
Edge is totally fine. NXT, and getting back to NXT has that edginess.
Oh, yeah.
I'll never forget Ricochet. The first time I saw him was at a takeover right before WrestleMania, where he did one of the most amazing ladder tricks ever, where he does the entire backflip and breaks the ladder in half. That was amazing. And I've never seen a ladder match better than that.
Yeah.
That's what NXT is. So I'm looking forward to watching it tonight. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
And it's got one of my favorite wrestlers, Finn Balor, on it, which is awesome.
Which is actually, no, the next one was the 4-way cruiserweight title match, which was Angel Garza, who's the champion, versus Swerve Scott, Jordan Devlin, and Travis Banks. So I'm going to ask you who you think is going to win each one after we're done. After I introduce him. Then we have Finn Balor versus Ilja Dragunov. I always screw up his name. So if you can pronounce properly.
It's going to be Finn anyway, so doesn't matter who you're going up against.
Rhea Ripley versus Toni Storm. I'm going to say right now, before we do all the predictions, I don't think I'm going to take it off Rhea Ripley yet.
That would be really weird.
Yeah.
To do. Because if you're talking about the person who finally beat Shayna and her very impressive long run, just to lose it very shortly after, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I don't either, but I do think the Imperium is going to beat the Undisputed Era. I think the Undisputed Era has been getting kind of kicked down a little bit. They just lost the belt to Keith Lee.
Right.
So
I'm kind of hoping, and as much as I like Undisputed Era, I've been waiting for Roderick Strong to finally get mad enough to go off on his own, because I think he's amazing on his own, but he needs a reason. and a series of losses, you know, you're holding me back kind of angle could be a reason to do that, because he and Adam Cole are really good, and I'd love to actually see them in a match against each other. But that's never going to happen as long as they're still together.
The only thing is, I do like the Undisputed Era kind of like lurking over the entire NXT.
Oh, sure. I'm not saying break up the whole thing. Just have Roderick leave. Because, yeah, Bobby Fish is great. Kyle, and I always forget his last name.
O'Reilly.
The sad part is, as much as I like the Undisputed Era, and I'm sorry, Kyle, he's just the most unforgettable one of the team, and it's not fair because they're a great tag team together.
Yeah.
But I just think it's Bobby Fish's personality for me just always kind of overshadows it. But I would, you've got Finn, with the old Bullet Club thing that he never really got back. It would be great if he joined them and kind of replaced Roderick Strong, because then you'd have Finn more on TV. Maybe eventually have him versus AJ Styles' club in a future match, which would be great.
That would be amazing. Although I would kind of almost like it if Finn Balor did that and joined the OC, but down in NXT.
Sure.
So now he's running his own OC, which is ironic that he had to join and he started it all.
Right.
But just kind of have his own OC down there.
I can see that.
Heel stable down there, and like kind of building up, getting more and more in there, and then turning against AJ Styles. And then like at a Survivor Series, you take that year to build up both.
Right.
And then at Survivor Series, it's like OC versus OC. Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that Finn is able to drop the demon thing, even though I love the demon, and I've got figures of the demon at home and everything. The fact that he's able to win and be an amazing heel without that gimmick is great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's so great in everything. Like, I love him just by himself. I love him when he's with. I mean, what was the match that he came back and basically he saved something. I can't even think of it right now, but
I don't remember.
It was like a last minute replacement. I think he and somebody else got stuck together, and like it was like a few years ago, but
yeah,
it wasn't even a pay-per-view. It was like on Raw or something, and he had such an amazing match. Also him versus Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
that was a great match. He held his own.
So the rumor mill was that Brock really wanted to drop it to Finn. Finn was the original holder of the Universal title in the first place, and there was apparently a writing kind of, not snafu, but a change where they're like, no, Finn's not going to get it. You're going to keep it. And there's a video, and it's fantastic, of Brock throwing the belt at Vince. And Vince, are we allowed to cuss on here a little bit?
Yeah.
Calling him an a-hole. I'll just say it like that.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
Screamed a-hole at him, and it was a 30-second clip. Brock apparently was really mad because Finn, I really do feel, actually did deserve it. They just didn't know what to do with him after that. Now they've got The Fiend, which is kind of the replacement for the Demon, and it would have been great, instead of The Fiend kind of being, beating Balor to kind of get over, it would have been great if you actually saw the Demon and the Fiend at the same time. That would have been a great match.
And they did that. They started that, and it just, they screwed that whole storyline up.
Finn wanted to get married, and good for him.
Oh yeah.
So he wanted to, I think rumor was he was a little injured, and he did need to kind of take a break. And moving him into NXT, he's done great. Mm-hmm. But I'd still love to be able to see the two of them go at it. But
they've destroyed the Fiend storyline like twice now, with the Finn, with Seth. That was a debacle.
Yes and no. The fact that it was 12 curb stomps and he was still fine. That was weird. It was very weird. I don't feel like the Fiend's storyline's over with. I feel like the Fiend is the answer for the Undertaker. He doesn't have to have a belt to be one of those things where when the Fiend shows up, whoever's in that ring is going to get destroyed.
I agree with you. I just to cut you off real quick, I do agree with you. I don't think the Fiend is done. I just think they need to book him better.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also, and I guess when we get into it, I'll talk to you about what I actually think is going to happen with he and Daniel Bryan.
Why don't we quickly go over tonight?
Okay.
So who do you have for tonight? Mia Yim or Kaylee Ray?
Probably Mia. I think so.
DIY versus Mustache Mountain.
I'm never going to go against DIY.
Nice. Who do you got in the four-way? Garza, Scott, Devlin, or Banks?
Probably Scott, but if it's not Buddy Murphy or Tony Nese, I don't really care.
That's fair. Although I always kind of push for Leo Rush. He's so small.
He is, but he showed himself to be a person who thought he was way better than he really was, and they kicked him off of Raw over it.
Well, I don't even have to ask you. I think we're both for Balor.
Yeah.
Ripley or Storm?
It's going to be Ripley.
Awesome. Undisputed or Imperium?
I'm going to go against you. I still think it's going to be Undisputed Era, but
I like it.
I could see how if they are going with that whole Roger Strong kind of leading, it would actually be interesting to have Imperium win and him break off.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to go quickly down the list of matches that we have on the card for Royal Rumble.
Sure.
So we got the men's 30-man Royal Rumble, the women's 30-woman Royal Rumble, the Fiend versus Daniel Bryan, which is a title match, strap match.
I cannot wait.
Becky Lynch versus Asuka, which is a title match. Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin, falls count anywhere match. Shorty G versus Sheamus, which is just a regular singles. Bayley versus Lacey, which is a title match. And Andrade versus Humberto Carrillo, which is the U.S. title.
Mm-hmm.
And there is speculation, heavy rumors, but it hasn't been announced that you're probably going to get Strowman versus Nakamura for the Intercontinental.
Which, it would be nice because Nakamura needs to do something. He was one of my favorites for the longest time.
Yeah.
That heel turn that he did with AJ was absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't know what to do with him after that. He didn't win, and they went back and forth. They would not take it off AJ, and then they just lost him. He's got the belt back. The Sammy saying things weird because Sammy's so much better than just a mouthpiece.
Yeah. Well, I always wonder, is he still hurt in some way?
Maybe. I mean, both shoulders were injured.
Yeah.
But he's so good. He and KO were so good together, and even against each other. Either one.
I'd love to see them both go back to NXT.
Yeah, I can see it. I mean, it would be great, but the only problem is I want to see them on pay-per-views too, because that's where all the production goes to, and I'd love to be able to see NXT instead of just 4, maybe 5 times a year.
Yeah.
Just be either mixed in with the pay-per-views and make them longer, or the rumor for next WrestleMania and moving on, actually having 2-day events, which there'd be no reason not to.
Especially after Wrestle Kingdom this year has proven that you can have dynamite matches on both days. Right. And there's so much speculation with that. Like, WrestleMania might have to start doing that instead of just doing a takeover and then WrestleMania.
Right.
Do both. You know, do 2 nights. You're right. A mix and match, everything. I mean, come on. You had Survivor Series. What was it? The championship match for NXT was one of the best matches.
It was really, really good. I did like it. The problem with the NXT thing is NXT pretty much dominated Survivor Series. For the most part, it won. And it only got effectively one superstar. Now, maybe the argument they're making is that they don't need the Raw and SmackDown champions, that they've got amazing wrestlers on there, which I think they do. Mm-hmm. But they need people to watch. And they need people watching on Wednesdays. They're going up against AEW, which has some amazing star power. Yeah. And they need to be able to match it.
They need the stories. Mm-hmm. Just because AEW is pushing stories.
Sure. It
really is building up these stories, and they're taking the time to say, okay, well, this heel turn's not going to happen 1 week and then that's the way it is without any real story. We're going to build this story for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it's effectively working, you know.
And it works in WWE. The Becky turn was not fast. It was a slow build. You could tell, and it wasn't even over just one pay-per-view and into the next. It was obviously she was getting pushed to the back, and she had enough, and then turned. It was great. So WWE can do it right. They just need to.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, and I think Seth tried to do this because Becky used social media to her advantage to push the man. And I think that's what helped her blow up. Like, she's so great on the mic, and then she takes it to social media, and she's just talking crap to everybody. And, you know, how do you argue that? Like, she's doing great. And I think Seth tried to do that. and then went too far with certain things, and it just
Sometimes I still think the Fiend match is probably what killed it for so many people because
oh yeah,
and that's not and let's face it, that's not Seth's fault. That is what had to happen. That's what they were instructed to do, and I'm not trying to blow up kayfabe, but that's just kind of was. They gave him this red light, which was impossible to see,
yeah.
and they ended the first Hell in a Cell match in a no contest, which is impossible. It's against the rules. It didn't make any sense.
I really hope there's no red light for the strap match tomorrow.
There's going to be every time he fights now, it's a red light, and you can't see anything.
It sucks so bad. I did like Danny Bryan using Kane to find.
That was awesome, Daniel Bryan. That's another tag team that never made sense to me.
No.
Kane and Daniel Bryan. I just don't get it, but it worked.
I love that they call Kane the mayor now when he shows. He's Kane, the brother of the Undertaker, the brothers of destruction.
It's great because he is a politician,
yeah.
And he's like, all right, well, I'm still a wrestler. They knew what they got when they voted for me. Yeah, no, it's great. But I would actually be interested if he, instead of with the mask and everything out, that he just came out as himself and was with Daniel Bryan, and you just see him, bald head and everything, just standing around. It'd be great. But yeah, I'll be interested to see how this strap match goes. I'll leave it up to you how you want to go into talking about the matches.
Why don't we just go down the matches, then we'll talk about the Royal Rumble themselves.
Okay.
So we'll talk the one-on-ones, and so who do you have, Fiend versus Danny Bryan?
So I actually have the Fiend, but not Bray Wyatt. So there are rumors that Bo Dallas is finally going to come back and be in the stable of with the Fiend. Now, the one thing that they've shown, and I don't think it was an accident. There are several still images of several fights with the Fiend where there is a Fiend at the sidelines as well as a Fiend in the ring.
Huh.
Bo Dallas has been off Tv for a while now, but he did used to do the whole making fun of his brother, his real life brother, Bray Wyatt. I think it would be great if during that strap match, Daniel Bryan's winning. Absolutely, not dominating, but winning. And it's a fantastic match. And Bray Wyatt, just standard Bray Wyatt, runs out, little Firefly Funhouse, distracts him, Fiend wins, rips off his mask, and it's Bo. That's what I'm hoping happens. It seems out there, but he's been off TV for so long, and they've been talking that they're going to bring him back somehow. I don't see any other way to do that. So
that would be interesting. So
I hope that's what happens. And then you get matches where you don't know which Fiend you're getting. Which one are you fighting? And it also gives that whole idea that the Fiend really is this separate entity that Bray Wyatt has been saying this whole time.
Yeah.
That he's not him, that he is actually this other person.
That'd be a huge story push.
Right.
For WrestleMania this season.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I hope that's the case too. I did not hear anything about it. I did not put any of that together. So I was going to say, I mean, I always hope for Daniel Bryan. I love Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think it's going to be the Fiend. And if it is the Fiend, I hope it's your way.
I hope so too. The other rumor is that his Daniel Bryan's wife hates his haircut, so he might just lose so that he can grow. He could take some time to grow it back out. I actually think he looks great. The long hair was weird to me. It's just
he looks too shaggy.
Yeah.
And just stay on E. What are they, Bella Twins? Shut up. I can't stand them.
When they came back, it was bad because there were so many botches that they did, and they almost hurt themselves really, really badly. So I agree that their time might be over, but they're still really good personalities. And
that was my argument before, like when we were talking about with AEW, is like, yeah, maybe they go a little too extreme sometimes, and like with that, but they're such seasoned professionals, the ones that are pushing themselves, that they don't seem to get hurt. You never hear about them really getting hurt.
Right. But
then you see all of these young up and comers coming up from NXT and such, and then making big botches. Like, just for example, like Banks with Paige.
Yep.
The way she kicked her, there was no reason for her to do that, and she wasn't expecting it. She wasn't guarded. You've seen a lot with Sasha Banks. Like, right. I remember when her feet hit the rope as she was trying to dive, and then she just came flat down on her face.
She's amazing though. Just in the ring when she's doing it well. But you also had like Nia Jax when she hit. Yeah. And yes, they turned it into kind of a storyline, but I mean that really did potentially could have set Becky Lynch back an entire year.
Yeah, she was off Survivor Series because of that, and which was a big kind of way for Ronda Rousey and her storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, with Becky it was even bigger, but I just think you see too much of that. You see too many of them going out hurt because of botched moves that, like Kairi Sane recently with Charlotte Flair getting mad at her, and she already hurt herself, and now she's just getting bashed all over until Becky put her under the ring, so it wouldn't happen anymore. But it's like, how far do you take it? Now I understand Charlotte didn't know, and Charlotte was just getting frustrated because she thought she was botching.
Right.
But to me, that's life altering, career ending.
The one thing I will say though, and it is kudos to WWE for allowing the women's division to actually be able to do that, because we're talking about this now, but I mean, this stuff happens in the men's division all the time, and we're just starting to notice. I'm waiting for them to really take the women's titles seriously. I did hear that they're finally getting rid of the NXT women's championship. They're just calling it an NXT championship now. Nice. Okay. They're dropping the women's. I'd love to see two belts. I'd love to see a mid card, and on the women's side too, and because there's so many very, very, very talented women wrestlers, but there's only one title they can go after, and that limit on either side.
Who's the tag team champs now?
I
don't even know.
I hate saying it. I thought it was still Asuka, but I don't think it is.
I don't think they're wearing the belts.
And they haven't, because they don't have enough on the pay-per-view. And that's the other thing. So we're talking about, like, we have these singles matches. Pay-per-views to me seem to be, that's when the titles need to be on the line. Every pay-per-view. But they have these weird singles matches that, Daniel Bryan, it's a fun match. And it's a title match, which is nice. But you got the Sheamus and Shorty G, which Shorty G's an amazing wrestler. He's fantastic.
He's not a personality, though.
No. Well, he was when he was with, when he was part of Glorious. That was actually really funny.
Yes.
But no, he doesn't have that personality. And it seems like this is only to bring Sheamus back. To be like, hey, put him back on a pay-per-view. But why? Like, bring him back in the tag matches. Have him run out and beat up Shinsuke Nakamura and, grab Cesaro by the hand and do the bar move again. Something like that.
Yeah, I agree. There's too much on here that doesn't need to be. You're right. And that is going to be a squash match. I mean, come on, Sheamus is going to destroy Shorty G. And I hate that name. I don't know why. I get it. I get He's the Chad joke. Gable.
That is his name. I get.
But he owns the Shorty G, and it's like,
good for him though. There was a bully, and that probably is what the thing was. You're taking a bully's power away by just owning what he calls you. I'm a short guy too, so.
I mean, and in that instance, yes, I agree. Kind of shut King Corbin up, but at the same time too, it's like you don't have to keep running with it.
Right.
You got a new rivalry, you can go back, but we'll see how it goes. I think for me, and out of kayfabe, it's Vince just likes calling him Shorty.
Probably.
And that's why he's stuck with the moniker now. But with everything, so we got Becky Lynch versus Asuka. Who do you think?
It's definitely going to be Becky. I mean, we've kind of talked about that. Yeah. I think it's not going to be because she actually wins. I think Asuka's probably going to take over, and I think you're going to have another interference from Baszler. I think that's what's going to stop it, because the three of them could do another really, really good match at WrestleMania. I realize it seems like a rehash because there was a three-way. Pardon my the way I said that. There was the same kind of match during WrestleMania, but I think that would allow Asuka to stay on pay-per-views, which needs to happen because she's really, really good.
Yeah.
But also kind of bring Baszler up, and that way, no matter who wins, it's not gonna hurt Becky. If she loses, it could be easily because Baszler pins Asuka, or if Baszler loses, it could be because Becky pinned.
Yeah, that's what we got for Survivor Series too, and it wasn't a great. It was a way to get Becky Lynch out.
Right, but I also think Baszler needs to get in the matches, and I just don't think she's ready for the one-on-one yet. She's really stilted in the bigger shows. She's not so much on NXT, but during Survivor Series, she was kind of stiff. And I don't know if it was nerves or what it was.
I think if you're going to put a main event for a women's championship main event in WrestleMania, it's going to be, and they're going to put Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch. If you're going to add a third, it's going to be Ronda Rousey.
Okay, I can see that.
And, which is fine, and I think that'd probably be the better way to go. I kind of like the Kabuki Warriors.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
Keep them together and then build up your tag team like we were talking about. Like,
right.
Get the belts out, get more belts out there, get an Intercontinental Women's, get whatever else you need. Whatever. I don't care what you call it. Just get it out there and let people.
A second tag team for both SmackDown and Raw. Having one tag team for both doesn't make any sense.
No, it really doesn't. And there's too many tag teams, plus too many like Charlotte and Becky getting together, and then it's like you have like 5 or 6 women's tag teams. What are you doing? Right. We don't need this for one set of belts. But with all that, like, I just think the women are getting so big they need their own show.
Sure.
They really do. I almost hate to say it because I'm like, weekly I'd have to do this, and then that's another show I'd have to add to the mix because I will watch the women's.
I 100%. They are, and it's not some kind of like, ooh, they're dressed nice. No, they're actually really, really good.
Oh yeah.
And it's amazing to see that. But where's our evolution from this past year?
Yeah,
like, where was that? And it was such a good show. I loved that show.
Yeah. Well, I think they needed to. It was very good. It was very well put together, and I think because Vince didn't have a lot to do with it, but I think because it didn't have the higher ratings that most of the shows do, it got taken away. But that's because you had a Saudi Arabia show like 2 weeks before.
Right.
And you're like, well, you're shooting yourself in the foot by saying, like, okay, no women are allowed on this show. You have all the men and a 50-man Royal Rumble or whatever it was.
And, let's just face it, the Saudi shows have never been that great.
No.
They've never been that great.
No, not at all. And I'm not excited for it. I'm actually excited to hear who doesn't want to go back, when it comes up to it. And we're going to hear more about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I know who you're going with on this one, but I don't know. I'm excited.
Go ahead.
Roman Reigns versus King Corbin.
As much as I hate to say it, I think Roman's going to win. But I'd actually love to see Corbin eke it out. I really would. I like him as a heel. I think it would be fantastic for him to say, hey, I beat Roman. Add that to the list of the championships that he's had. Because no matter what city he's in, he's the favored son. And that's the other thing I love about him.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have Shorty G versus Sheamus. I think we're both on Sheamus.
I think it'll be Sheamus. It would be interesting if Cesaro kind of enters into it, because I don't think he's really planned at all to be in maybe in the Royal Rumble. But
yeah,
I'd love to see him come out. But this could also be Sheamus putting over Shorty. I mean, Sheamus has been hurt a couple of times. Maybe this is finally him pushing him up, which I would actually like to see. And I know his name's Shorty. Chad Gable actually get what he deserves. Because when you really look at him in ring, personality aside, he is really, really good. And it would be nice for him to get a little bit more airtime. But it'll probably be Sheamus.
I agree. Bayley versus Lacey Evans for the title.
I would love to see Lacey Evans get beaten yet again because I cannot stand the character. And she does not seem to be on the level of the other women's champions.
Yeah.
I know she got pushed with Becky a few times. I just don't see it. I never have. So I'd hope that Bayley trounces her.
I think she's going in the right direction, but I do agree. I think Bayley's going to take it and keep the belt with help from Sasha.
Sure.
So then we have Andrade versus Humberto Carrillo for the US title.
Andrade's going to keep it. I don't see a reason to let him go. The other I know he's got Zelina Vega. He doesn't need her. Yeah, I've seen him wrestle on his own without the manager and without the shtick and everything else like that. He's really, really good. He's almost fantastic. And if he gets to keep this for a while, he's a main eventer. I mean, he's eventually going to get the championship. Yeah. Either Universal or just WWE if they keep going the route he's going.
But I think she's a very good manager.
Sure.
And I think I think their dynamic together works well together. Like this past match with Rey Mysterio was a great ladder match. It was such a terrific match. Probably the best thing on Raw this week. And she played it up so well.
She does, but I just wish that he could win a few matches without having to cheat.
I agree.
To really show off that it's not just her that's helping him win.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you there, and I hope so too. And in case it does become a match, Braun versus Shinsuke, who do you have?
Braun. I think
Yeah.
the Shinsuke thing's done. As much as I like him, I think if they really do that, Braun should win because Braun needs a title, and he should have been WWE champion a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really want to go that route, but he deserves a title. The only reason why I think they wouldn't give it to him is because who could beat him in the mid card? Really,
Yeah.
whoever could beat him.
I was so sad to see his, because he's still never been pinned.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so like that was something like they always, I remember back in with Andre the Giant, they were like, he's never been pinned, and he's like, yeah. So you can go back and watch matches before you started saying this and he's been pinned, but like Braun really, like if you go back, like he's never really been pinned. Like they always did something like
something weird happened.
Something weird one bout, or he wasn't the one in the ring and it was a 3-way match or something like that. So I was really upset when they like messed up his push, and you know, but whatever.
Yeah.
I hope he takes it. I hope he gets an intercontinental belt. And
sure.
Rides it around for a little while.
Yeah,
you know?
I could see that happen.
Now with that, let's start with the women. So right now we have about 7 confirmed women's were announced,
which suggests that's probably going to be the only 7 that we need to watch because. And I hate saying it that way, but you have so many women that could be in the Royal Rumble. There's no reason not to announce everybody who's going to be in there. Most likely they'll do what they do in most Royal Rumbles. One of the first people out, but that's just because they got hurt and they get carried into the back and you forget about them and they come back. I hope it's not Charlotte, and I really hope it's Nikki Cross. I know it won't be.
That would be funny.
But I really love Nikki Cross. And I think she could really beat Bayley if she was given a singles push.
Yeah. I think because it's for either belt now, or we're probably, a lot of the rumors are Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey,
sure,
Rhea Ripley, Lita is one that would, but she'll never win. But I mean, she would come out like. I think they're going to start doing that with the women's matches. Where it's getting tired for the men, bringing out all of these veterans. And that's why they have 27 announced. Right. I think the women, you're going to get a lot more, like maybe Trish Stratus shows up, and and just kind of play it up that way, which I'm all right with for now because you don't need it, but whatever. If you build up the name there, and maybe one day they'll have their own show, they don't have to worry about this.
Yep.
But I think if anybody's going to take it, it's probably going to be Shayna.
Yeah, if Ronda Rousey does come back, I could say that that's my daughter's favorite wrestler. She loves her. That's really the only way to bring her back and have her relevant for WrestleMania. Any other way, it's just like, okay, you just brought her back just for one show. So I could see her almost like the Money in the Bank thing. She wins the Royal Rumble. She's like, I don't have to wrestle you at all. I will be here, but I'm not wrestling you until WrestleMania. But I'm going to be a thorn in your side for Becky Lynch just for the next few months. That'd be great.
Yeah. And I would really like Ronda maybe comes out at like 24. She's dominating. She's pulling it out. Maybe you even have Becky in there.
Okay.
You know, it'd be different. I mean, she's not going to lose the belt by being in there, so it's not a big deal. Maybe they throw her out, and then Shayna pops out at 28 and throws Ronda out.
I could see that. You could also have something where Becky is in it. She, 29's already been announced. She's the only one in the ring.
Yeah.
Then you have either one of them show up. It would be so much better if it was Ronda because that's how Becky got involved in this in the first place. Oh, yeah. She won the Royal Rumble. To have Ronda kick her out and say, now it's my turn, that flips it on its side. Or Baszler as well. Yeah. It's probably going to be Baszler, though. I feel like Ronda's been really clear that family is the most important thing to her right now, which is fine. And there's nothing wrong with that.
But if she's only willing to do, like, maybe even lose at WrestleMania.
Sure.
And build up Shayna.
Right.
I could see her doing the next 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Just help Shayna kind of get a paycheck, do her thing, I mean, it's a lot nicer to start a family when you have another $1 million or $2 million.
That's very true.
And Becky, I don't know. I really think Shayna and Ronda will probably be the ones to come out.
I agree.
Now to bring it to the men's, we have mostly everybody in there. I'll just kind of go down the list real quick. Brock is coming in number 1. We know that. Then we have Roman, AJ Styles, Eric Rowan, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, Elias, King Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, Otis, Tucker, Rusev, Bobby Lashley, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, Braun Strowman, Shinsuke Nakamura, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, Kofi Kingston, Big E, R-Truth, John Morrison, and The Miz.
And what, 3 people left? We don't know who?
So speculation right now is, big rumors on the front are that Roman's going to take it all. And we'll get to that because we had a pretty good conversation about that before. Speculation that Edge he's going to be in Houston this
I hope so.
So Edge could come back. A prediction I had is maybe the Big Show comes back for one slot, not to win or anything, but just to kind of be a veteran.
Right.
There was always every year there's always high speculation of CM Punk, but even more this year now that he's on WWE Backstage. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's true, but I wrote it down just because it is a heavy rumor. I do think, and this is my own personal, Keith Lee is probably going to make a big appearance.
Which I think CM Punk agreed with you because that's who he said was going to win it.
Yeah.
There's one other person I was reading today. Cena is supposedly going to make a show. Yeah. So I could see of those people, hopefully it's Edge, Cena, and Keith Lee. I hope the 3 of those are kind of round that out. Big Show's always great. I don't have any issues with him.
No, but it's just because he came back recently.
Sure.
I was like, maybe he might, it'd be cool to see him, but I don't need him.
What I would hope is that Edge comes back, Cena comes back, and something happens during the Royal Rumble that actually leads them to have a match at WrestleMania. I think that would be great. CM Punk, I don't know. I missed that whole CM Punk era.
Yeah.
But it seems like he's really happy on the announce table.
Yeah.
And there are so many other people right now that deserve those big pushes that if you're going to put him back in, you're not putting him in to lose. Like he's going to win. And then to be the winner and the announcer on the same show, I don't know, it'd be too much for me.
I agree. I think if they did it, it would be the best kept secret they probably could have ever done.
Right.
So good for them. But if I saw him, I wouldn't be upset. But you're right. I think for the sake of story and everything else, just leave him alone. Bring Edge back. Edge isn't going to win, but it'd be nice to have him back for some matches. His wife's on commentary in NXT, so just have him come back on Raw or something.
Right. Seth's involved in the Royal Rumble, right? So obviously that whole Monday Night Messiah thing, they're probably going to run it for a while. The 5 of them protecting each other, or 4 of them. Because I think, and the other rumor is that they're adding a 5th member at some point, some 5th person. The person who I hope gets added, because although he is probably the single most talented person on the Raw roster, but he needs better mic skills, is Ricochet.
Yeah.
It would be great if they gave him a heel turn. But the only way that happens is if he's got a reason to do that. So I kind of I'm rooting for him during the Royal Rumble as more of a kind of a dark horse story and a face turn for Brock. So the one thing that Brock's been the heel for the longest time. And if Seth somehow wins, or any one of the Monday Night Messiahs wins, then you just have 2 heels going at it, which doesn't make too much sense. Yeah. But if you had someone like Ricochet, who actually wins, total face, and it's more of the kind of like the AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, 2 opponents that respect each other and are willing to give each other a chance, and there's no hint of animosity, and you somehow get up to WrestleMania, and then the Monday Night Messiahs just try to help Ricochet win, and he goes heel turn. That would be great, because then you can phase out Brock.
Yeah.
Maybe he wins it. Maybe he still retains it, and then the next night he loses it, or something else like that. But you can phase out Brock, because he does not need to hold on to that belt anymore. Enough's enough.
I agree.
And have like the Undisputed Era, just like you were saying. They've got these, they can run Raw forever. The other rumors are it's going to be Jinder Mahal that joins them. Which,
yeah, I'm out on that. I don't even want to speculate, Jinder Mahal. I mean, sorry, I know, whatever. He was a champion. Oh my God, I can't believe.
I have a friend who absolutely loves Jinder Mahal to death, and I know he will be watching this, and he knows what I'm talking about.
Well, I
never
respect
got-
you for loving Jinder Mahal. It's not that I don't dislike the guy. I dislike how they booked the guy.
Yeah, it
And-
wasn't it wasn't great. And then when he lost one Singh brother due to being hurt,
Yeah.
and then it was great when he would throw the other Singh brother just into people. It was a great heel move. But once he and Roman had that little spat for a little while,
Yeah.
he just went to the wayside.
But I think that's what it was. They put him against Roman.
Right. And I do agree with you, even though I'm hoping for Ricochet. Yeah, Roman's probably going to take it, and I don't know why. I really don't know why. He doesn't need it. He can be, just like Bray Wyatt could be The Undertaker, Roman could be too. It could be one of those things where you just have him where he doesn't care about the belt because he doesn't need it, and he just wants to beat people up. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they just keep pushing him, and it's just nonstop.
Yeah, I would actually almost like Roman to take a turn where he's such a baby face that you're right, he doesn't even want the belt. He's just out there to do his thing.
Right.
He's almost like The Undertaker in a little way. Like, it's not that The Undertaker didn't want the belt or that he didn't get it, but I mean, he was like 2-time world champion, and that's The Undertaker.
Right.
One of the biggest draws in wrestling history, and he didn't need the belt. Get there, Roman. Get to that point. You're right. I agree. And then I think I'd respect it more. Like, it's the fact that he's getting pushed to be the face, to be the champion. That's not what The Undertaker needed.
Nope.
And like, Undertaker was more than happy to let Stone Cold do it. Let The Rock do it. Let John Cena take over.
The Rock The Rock had the title for a while. Stone Cold had the title for a while, but even when they didn't, people didn't care.
No.
They wanted to see them. Roman was at that level before, the unfortunate turn with the leukemia coming out of remission. He was there, and he came back, and he was still there until the booking just changed.
Yeah.
He could easily do it.
Well, he was always forced down everybody's throats, so and it's kind of sad, but
and that's not his fault.
No, it wasn't. And when they brought him back with the Shield and stuff, like they had that reunion, it kind of spruced him up a little bit. Then the leukemia unfortunately came back, and it was a tough series of everything going on. But you're right. I would love to see him above all that.
Mm-hmm.
Like be the leader of the locker room. Sometimes he comes out, he just has a match, he'll take out the bullies, something like that.
Right.
I'd love that. And then maybe eventually he'll turn and see where he goes with that.
Which would be great. But I mean, I do love the Shield. I like the Shield better when they're heels as opposed to when they're the face. But the Shield was great, and he's shown that he is one of the biggest names there. Yeah. He doesn't need the title, just like AJ Styles. AJ Styles is doing amazing stuff, even though he doesn't have a match for some reason. He's still doing amazing stuff. He doesn't need the title.
I think he's just older at this point. He's like, I've done as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still wrestle, but he likes to take his time off too.
Sure.
So, and I don't blame him. 5 kids, you want to take your time off,
right.
But with that being said, who's your prediction for winning the men's?
So I agree with you. It's going to be Roman, but I really wish it was Ricochet. I really do.
I like it. Mine would probably be we agree with each other. It's going to be Roman. But if I really had to choose, I would probably say, it would be cool to see Ricochet, but I'd really like to see Keith Lee come in and win it.
Sure.
I feel like a big push for him would be pretty awesome. But that's just me. Now the women's, who do you think?
So going back to it, it's probably going to be Baszler, but just like this, I'd still love to see Nikki Cross win.
I like that. I would even take it one step a little bit farther in the short section, but maybe Alexa Bliss win it all. I love her. I love the goddess.
Well, I know we've been talking, oh my gosh, for over an hour now.
Yeah. Supersized episode.
Yeah. So let's talk about the fact that Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, which one of them is going to go heel?
Yeah.
One of them's going to have to turn. Alexa's done it so many times. It would make sense that Nikki would finally be the one to break off. Now, if she somehow did win the Royal Rumble, or during the Royal Rumble decides to take out Alexa, that would be a good turn too.
Yeah.
The only problem is, if somehow she won, then you'd have, again, 2 heels going after the title. Bayley's already got it, and you got Nikki. Who do you root for at that point?
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I don't think either of them are going to win it, though. Just see who takes who out, though. I do love it. So, with that, those are predictions, and those are our, our speculations and things like that. Rob, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I had a great time. This is a great time to talk about it. I don't get to do that often.
I appreciated you having me. It was great.
Anytime you want to come on. I know it's usually 20 minutes, but I want to do more of these during the bigger pay-per-views.
Sure.
So I'll definitely keep you in mind and have you come back on. Thank you all for listening to us talk for about an hour and a half, not even an hour. But listen, make sure you guys are checking out the scenesnobs.com. We have tons of shows going on. We have a lot more shows coming up. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Scene Snob. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, like we said. Rob, you have anything you want to plug?
No, I don't have anything I want to plug, but I'm like I said, I was really appreciative of being here and can't wait to listen to all your other podcasts.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. And you guys have a good time and take care.